So in this video I'm going to address something that's a very important topic along the spiritual path in my view. I recorded another video a couple days ago in which I was talking about the importance of every moment that you can trying to relate with other people in a space of loving kindness, and just trying to see the humanity in others, and always choosing love in every moment as much as possible. And I got a reply from someone talking about how they try to do this, and they will have feelings of anger or hatred towards people in their life, and they'll try to convert that into love. And I realize that there is a misunderstanding that can come about from this, which is a common approach of sort of pretending to be nice and friendly and loving towards people, and rejecting one's negative feelings and emotions and focusing on a positive outlook. And I think that this is a understandable but common mistake that actually does not lead towards the really deep healing that's needed, which is that there are a lot of dark and difficult and negative emotions buried within most humans that are what really needs to be addressed the most, and which is the cause and result of so much pain and suffering and chaos around the world, is the dark, murky shadow of humanity that never gets addressed, and only gets reinforced when people choose a spiritual outlook of only focusing on the positive, and denying their real feelings. And so I think that one of the most needed healing approaches or healing parts of ourselves is that of resolving anger. And by resolving, I don't mean separating from, denying, repressing, converting, transmuting into something else. There are certainly that can have its benefits, but what most needs to happen is that anger just needs to be expressed, and that isn't a very popular spiritual outlook. I saw somebody's video recently talking about it was Manitya Sudevi, if I got her name right, someone who I disagree with some fundamentals on, even though I think a lot of what she says is pretty right on. But she was talking about how when you focus on these negative emotions, then you simply reinforce them. And I really couldn't disagree more, if done with the right approach. And that's what really needs to happen, is the right approach, an effective approach. These emotions, anger does have a way of simply getting trod over again and again when it's brought up, but it isn't genuinely resolved, when you don't really get to the heart of it, the source of it. And so then it's repressed back down, and then it goes away, and then it rears its ugly head again sometime later. And so it can look like there's no benefit to come about from allowing it to emerge whatsoever, because it never gets resolved. It just always comes back, so make it go away again. And I have found in my own personal journey that anger really can be truly resolved simply by acknowledging it as a valid emotion of the feeling body, and simply expressing it. It's not fun to be around angry people, and it isn't necessarily fun to experience anger, but there is a important transmutation and release that comes about when you really get to the heart of it, when you recognize that it is a source of energy and it is a source of power within you that is too often repressed and denied and leaves you less whole. When you have experiences that justifiably bring up anger in your life, someone does something to you, a bully kicks your butt when you're a kid, and that can really scar you, and you might never fully recover from that in your life. But often what it is it's simply a matter of some part of yourself, a part of your energy body that gets kind of snuffed out, and then you lose that part of yourself. You lose access to that source of your personal power and energy, and carry on without it and do the best you can, and then it comes back in different situations. Other things will trigger that anger, and it may seem unreasonable, and so you repress it, and so you're just stuck in the state of being not completely whole. When there's nothing wrong with simply expressing an emotion. Emotions can't hurt you. It's denial of emotions that causes harm to your being. Anger, fear, sadness, etc. These are natural feelings in response to reality, in response to the world around us. And too often anger is judged because it's intense, because it's not fun to be around, and because the result of anger repressed so often leads to worse things. Leads to hatred, leads to violence, leads to wars. And so the solution generally is deny and repress anger because it's no good. So I went to an inner child workshop when I was, 19 or 20, and experienced the benefits that can come about from simply just expressing your anger, tapping into the genuine feelings inside you, and simply releasing that energy, and how it brings a part of you back into yourself, and you gain access to your personal power. And it's not about going around the world being angry all the time. That's no fun. But it's about going back in time, basically, in order to recover a lost part of yourself and bring it back into the present. It's really about becoming more present and becoming more loving of yourself and of others by extending that love to include difficult and negative and dark shadow emotions. Not to affirm them to exist forever, but that they have a purpose and a validity for being, and that they are a part of you in a way. They are an expression of you that needs to be addressed and integrated. So after having done this inner child workshop, then a year or two later, I was living in Eugene, Oregon, and I talk about this in my book, Kundalini and the Art of Being, in which I would go off on hikes in this nature area outside of the town of Eugene, Oregon, and I happened upon this barn that didn't seem to be used by anybody. And so I took it upon myself to go into this barn, and when I was feeling troubled and just feeling pissed off, and would just have like yelling sessions in this barn and just yell my head off and get it out. And I always felt much more present, calm, happy, and a real sense of release afterwards, and relief. And I can't say that it isn't like it's an addictive thing. You get addicted to, expressing anger is so much fun, and then you're just going to be, attached to anger or whatever. You don't want to experience that. It's not fun to be angry, but it is a very important process to get through that, to go through that tunnel of difficulty, in order to get to the other side and find a place of greater being. And I haven't actually done that kind of anger release in years. I really felt like in the course of that year or so really tackling it, that I really got that out of my system. And not to say that I don't, experience anger anymore, but it's like I work through the backlog at least. Now if I'm angry, it's more about something in the moment. It's not about resentment from childhood or something. I'm sure there's still some there, but for the most part. And so that was a extremely important process along my own spiritual journey of truly resolving anger, not by masking it and repressing it and trying to become more loving by only focusing on love, but by extending love, making love bigger so that it dips into the shadow side, and that it brings light into the darkness. It doesn't deny the darkness, it brings light into the darkness and embraces the darkness and fills the darkness with light. So that's just a very important aspect of the healing path, of really penetrating this deep, dark, intense, difficult stuff that really needs to be penetrated, because that's the darkest, deepest stuff that's driving humanity, and that's creating the world that we live in now of pollution and environmental destruction and war and poverty, is all these dark, unresolved emotions in the emotional body that really need to be worked through. And it's really not that complicated. It's not a fancy, glitzy spiritual technique. It's just that these emotions need to be expressed. That's what it is. That's just what needs to happen, so that energy can come back alive from being snuffed out, from being repressed and pushed down, and come back to vibrating, which is what energy is meant to do, is vibrate. And our beings are meant to vibrate. When you repress a part of yourself, then that vibration lessens and you become less alive. So it's about coming back into the full depths of who you are, so that you can be more alive and more conscious and more aware and more loving and more spiritual in a balanced and in a way of integrity and of truth and honesty. So those are some thoughts on some important things that really need to happen upon the spiritual path for the sake of Earth and humanity.